Okay, hi there, friends. This is Bill Huston with the Bill Huston podcast, and we we it's an incredible time here, friends. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I hope you're paying attention to it with this Endicott battery incinerator business. With the Endicott battery incinerator business. So let me just tell you this. So we have normally a nightly planning call. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Let me change that. It's ordinarily... it's normally 6 p.m. nightly, but Monday... But... It's going to be Monday at 2 p.m. So immediately after this podcast is over, jump on this call. We're going to have... we're just going to discuss the issues. We've got this pretty good group, probably around 20 people now on it. I'm super, super, super happy that we have all these wonderful people now, because the way we're going to win this is by people power. But this is this is your Monday afternoon, 1:00, 1:08. Endicott battery incinerator update. So this thing is really, what did I title this thing? A cluster frack? That's okay, right? Cluster frack? It's okay if it sounds like a naughty word, but really isn't, right? Is that okay? Can I say cluster frack? That's just what we would call it. It's so ridiculously absurd, this proposed zoning change. It's really, really, really amazingly absurd. It's so absurd. It reminds me of... I think this is this zoning ordinance is going to crash and burn so bad. We're going to have to call these guys. Okay, so I don't know if that's legal or not. I don't want to get a copyright strike, but you get the idea. You've seen these videos, right? You know what I'm talking about. There's a whole meme having to do with the Ghanan pallbearers, the Ghanan dancing pallbearers. We're just gonna have to call this zoning ordinance is gonna go up in flames, I think. So we're really gonna have to call these guys. It's really comical. It's really comical. So we're going to go through this. I'm going to try to go through it pretty quickly here. And I just got to change my setup a little bit. That's pretty good right there. Just let me perfect this a little bit. Can I say... Is that the right one? No. Hold on. Actual size, zoom to page level, fit width, fit visible. There we go. No. Why do we fit width? Okay. That's what I'm trying for. All right. Now then, I just got to do one other thing here. How y'all doing today? Y'all coping with lockdown? Are y'all coping with lockdown? I hope you are. If anybody really... I'm a man of pretty limited means at the moment. But if anybody really needs something, you can feel free to give me a call. 607-296-0671, or just write me at williamahuston@gmail.com. Okay. So... what we have tonight is the big night. Tonight is Monday, April 20th, 2020. 4/20/2020. So 4 and 3/20s. Isn't that interesting? What we have is the Endicott Village Board is planning on... First of all, the DEC issued what I would say a legally dubious permit. I would say it's fraudulent. I would use a stronger language than that. I would say that it's It's really fraudulent, and it very likely violates New York criminal law. It's so bad. So let's just go through this to some degree right here. I'm going to zoom this in so that I can at least see. Let me do it like this. Make it wider, and I'll just zoom in to whatever width I can get out of it. Okay, so these are my main objections to this battery incinerator project. That they're not even calling an incinerator. They're trying to use deceptive language. So the first thing is the DEC permit was fraudulent, and there's several ways. The first way was, on October 9th, 2019, the DEC issued a document called the Notice of Complete Applications, and it stated that a coordinated review was performed. The only problem is that it hadn't been. And in fact, the village didn't even order the coordinated review until April 6th, and it just got completed last Friday, 4/17. So that was fraudulent. That was a fraudulent, erroneous statement that the DEC made. The other thing they said in the same document was this is an unlisted seeker action. Now the problem with this is that it cannot be an unlisted seeker action due to a major zoning change, and we're going to show you that coming up. If we, I have pretty limited time. I got to make this pretty short, maybe like 30 minutes. So I'm going to blast through this, and I'm going to tell you how you can get a copy of this. You can get a copy of it by going to that link straight up there. I can't reach it all the way, but tinyurl.com/Endicott battery incinerator. tinyurl.com/Endicott battery incinerator. So go there and you'll be able to find a copy of this document. Actually, it's not there yet, but I'm going to put it there right after this. And it's called, the name of the document is Bill Huston's List of Objections to Battery Incinerator. Bill Huston's List of Objections to Battery Incinerator. I'll put it right into the top level directory. When you say enter archive, I'll put it right at the top so you can see it. So it can't be an unlisted seeker action. It has to be a type 1. Well, guess what? With a type 1 seeker action, you get a public hearing and you get an environmental impact statement. These are the two major asks that I've been asking for the whole time. The next thing they said was on October 2, these are just a little bit, I guess, out of order. On October 2, 2019, they issued the negative declaration prior to this document, the notice of a completed application on the 9th. On October 2, the negative declaration stated, there is no material conflict with local land use laws. The only problem is, there was a material conflict with local land use laws. And now the cleanup crew is going to try to patch it up. And the cleanup crew is the three ladies on the board. Rather than suing the DEC, they're going to actually clean up the problems with the permit. They're covering up for DEC's crime, basically. That's what it is. Because the DEC, I'm going to show you the criminal law. It's in penal law. It's at the end of this document. I'm going to show you. In fact, I can show you. Anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked here. This is a crime. And the village board is covering up for the crime of the DEC. That's what's happening. Also in the negative declaration. Oh, and to just explain this one, basically an incinerator is not a permitted land use under existing zoning laws. So that's why they have to change the zoning. That's why they're having this Zoom hearing tonight during a pandemic. This is such an urgency. They got to rush this thing through during a pandemic when the public cannot meaningfully participate. So an incinerator is not a permitted land use. That's why. The village board, I don't want to say they're lying because I really don't know what their intent is. But what they're saying is factually wrong. I mean, it's really comically wrong. It's absurd what they're saying. There's two village, the mayor Mayor Linda Jackson and also Trustee Cheryl Chapman. They're repeating and repeating and repeating these grotesquely false statements, and we're going to go through them if I can get through this. The last thing was, in that same document, the negative declaration, the DEC said there was no identified creation of a hazard to human health. Oh, really? So emitting 3 known carcinogens into the air is not going to be a hazard to human health? What's the safe limit of formaldehyde for me to breathe? What's the safe limit of hexavalent chromium? What's the safe limit of dioxins for me to breathe? Can you answer that? Can somebody answer that? Oh, the models say that only 1 in 10 million people. I don't believe your models. And I don't believe the DEC has an accurate assay of the emissions of this plant. Let's just say that. And I can support everything that I'm saying. And we've even got a PhD on board here, Dr. Paul Connett, and I'm getting a lot of my information from him. So the next thing is, so the cleanup crew, the 3 ladies, the cleanup crew just ordered on April 6th, I think it was, the last village board meeting. I think it was Monday, April 6th. The cleanup crew ordered the GML 239 review, and it came back, and I would say that it's grossly deficient. So it had 2 pages, and there were 0 coordinating agencies. So let's compare this with the town of Fenton. Remember the Fenton bomb trucks terminal that was a couple years ago? NG Advantage wanted to build this trucking terminal, and the town went crazy, and it was glorious. The town really rose up. I'm so proud of Fenton. It was fabulous. But there was a 239 review in the Fenton case. The 239 review is a county-wide, interagency, intermunicipal examination of the impacts of this project. So for the town of Fenton, it was 31 pages and 6 coordinating agencies compared to 2 pages and 0 coordinating agencies. Like, what's going on? Frank Evangelisti, what's up with that? Why the difference between these two? Is there a legal what's the legal standard here? And was it followed in one and not the other? That's what it looks like to me. So they had the Town of Fenton Planning Board, the Shenango Valley School District. That makes sense. Can you imagine what the UE, Maine Endwell, and Union Endicott, what those school districts would think about an incinerator next to ball fields? I don't think they'd have positive remarks. Broome County Health Department, not consulted in this one. Village of Port Dick, I don't know, maybe Town of Vestal, Town of Union should have been invited to be part of the 239 review. I didn't see any comments from them. New York State DOT, there's going to be truck traffic involved, carrying hazardous materials that catch on fire. Broome County EMS, they didn't chime in. WTF. I'm not supposed to curse, but WTF. I wish I could get my, hang on one second here. I just want to get my, I like being able to draw over the screen. Where can I put it? I got to put it over here. And then I got to do this. Stand by 1 second, please. Please. How many people we got watching now? I can't even look because I'm too busy. But it'd be great if we had people watching. Leave a comment if you're watching. Let me know if it sounds good. And please press the like button. Please press the like button. There we go. Okay. So now I gotta, ooh, that's pretty. But what happened? I gotta turn it on. Ooh. Okay, but I like red. All right. Okay, now I can draw. Good. I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. So the town of Fenton, right? 31 pages and 6 coordinating agencies compared to Endicott. Endicott, you get 0. You get 0. Remember Gene Wilder from Willy Wonka? You get nothing. That's what it reminds me of. Endicott, you get nothing. So once again, we get the royal shaft, and we get the minimal possible standard, even to the point of it being broken and illegal, I would say. Sorry about that. Okay. So Union, Endicott Planning Board, why weren't they involved? Union Endicott School District. What about I'm sorry, I got to do that, and I got to do that. Okay. Yeah, so the Planning Board, UE School District, ME School District, Vestal School District. What about the town of Vestal, town of Union? What about the DOT? What about the Health Department? What about the EMS? How come none of them were invited to be part of the 239 review? It looks a little bit odd, a little bit suspicious maybe. Maybe there's a good legal reason for it. Now, the 239 review, it's very interesting because even though it was deficient, it did come back with a positive recommendation, in my opinion, and that is that it recommended that the village pass, create zoning categories for shredding, smelting, and furnace and or incinerator burning. Make that a separate zoning item. And you can make it a special permit, SP. You can make it a permitted land use with a P, or you can make it a dash and say that it's a prohibited land use. And I think that most of the people in the village would want incinerators to be prohibited within the village of Endicott. That's what that's what I'm hearing, okay? And since the mayor says this is not an incinerator, she should have no problem with that. Wouldn't you think? That's what she's saying. We're going to get to that in a second. I want to keep going through this. We got a lot to cover. So here we go. This is the cleanup crew. The cleanup crew is, we got the mayor. Here's the mayor, Linda Jackson. Here's the, where am I? Linda Jackson, there's the mayor. This is trustee Cheryl Chapman. And this is trustee Eileen Konechny. So when you're making your phone calls, you might want to focus on, everybody's saying that trustee Konechny might be the swing vote. So I say we need to call all three, but the people that have lived here a long time and know these people, have grown up with these people, that they say we need to focus, we need to focus on Eileen Konechny. They think that she is most likely the swing vote. I think we should still work on the mayor and trustee Chapman too. How can I stop that from happening? Okay. All right. So there we go. This is the cleanup crew. They're patching up the problem with the DEC. Now the thing is that Mayor Jackson and trustee Chapman have really been making some really gross, false, and misleading statements to the public about both the nature of the facility and also the purpose of the zoning change, okay? So there is a WNBF interview. If you go to archive.org and search for Endicott Mayor Jackson, WNBF, you should be able to find this. It's an excellent, interesting recording. I mean, it had the mayor, it had trustee Chapman, it had Dr. Paul Conant on there. I spoke briefly. Very interesting. So highly recommended that you go listen to this because you'll learn a lot, at least about, you might not, you're going to learn a lot about their motivations and the kinds of ridiculous things that they're saying. Well, what are they saying that's ridiculous, Bill? Well, I'll tell you. This facility is coming. We can't stop it. The village has no say on this. Oh, really? Then why are you changing the zoning? If the village has no say, then don't change the zoning. What would happen? What would happen if we didn't change the zoning? The mayor says the facility is coming. We can't stop it. The village has no say in this. Then don't change the zoning. It's simple. Prove it. Prove that the village has no say in it. don't do anything. Table the motion. Or the resolution, whatever the heck it is. The zoning change is not allowed. The zoning change is not to allow this facility. She's denying that the zoning change has anything to do with this facility. And that is, I'm not supposed to curse. It's BS. You know what BS stands for? It's what it is. BS. It's what it is. This zoning changes only. It's cleanup work. Because the DEC said there was no material conflict with local zoning. Only there was. And now the cleanup crew is trying to fix it. They're the fixers. It's highly irregular. And let's hope sanity prevails. And this is pretty absurd, especially considering the fact that this is during a pandemic. The zoning change is not... The zoning change is to allow the village to greater regulate this facility with greater restrictions and greater protections. No, it's not. No, it's not. The only protection, most of these regulations of these kinds of facilities is preempted by the state. The DEC does the protecting, or not. Mostly not. But it's the DEC usually preempts local control over a lot of stuff. The one thing the DEC doesn't preempt is local zoning. Local zoning, you can say, put it over here, or put it over here, or don't put it anywhere. We don't want it. That's what our code currently says. We don't want it. We don't want an incinerator. It's expressly prohibited. I'm going to show you that coming up. And they're trying to change it. So all of these statements here are really outrageous. They're outrageous and they're false. Every one of these statements here, okay? Going to try to keep moving because I got limited time here. So this is my friend Mickey Judkovich. Mickey Judkovich. Mickey Judkovich. Judkovich. I don't know why I have trouble saying that. Judkovich. Some people just call him Mickey Judd. He calls himself Mickey Judd sometimes on some social media. So this is what he said. He wrote to the mayor on her Facebook page. And he said, why are approving a zoning change for the battery incinerator? I love that he calls it an incinerator because that's what it is. Is more money more important to you than lives? Wow, great comment, Mickey. And then the mayor and then the mayor continues with this ridiculous gobbledygook. Let me see if I can it's really, I'm supposed to be nice. Linda Jackson, woman of action. Woman of action. Here we go. So she says, and recycling is already a state-recognized process for manufacturing. Well, actually, recycling is demanufacturing. Manufacturing is putting things together and making some product that people will use. Recycling is dismantling assembled things and turning it into component parts. It's not manufacturing, it's demanufacturing. It's disassembling. It's the opposite. That is why IBM has been to legally have recycled. That is why IBM has been to legally have recycling for over 20 years. Little grammar issue there maybe. I don't quite know what that saying is, but basically what she's talking about is Geodis. Geodis has been a recycling operation that's been here for 20 years. That's right. And they didn't need a zoning change. This makes... Do you see why I'm laughing at this? This makes zero sense. What she's saying makes zero sense. If Geodis has been here for 20 years and it's recycling, why do we need to change the zoning then? My brain is going deep. My brain is like short-circuiting. But remember the Star Trek? Remember Landru, one of those computers that self-destructed, But if you are or Nomad, but if you are the creator, then how can you be flawed? Okay, so um, or Landrew or Norman number one. Remember that one? If you are lying, then how can you be telling the truth? You give him a logic problem. We are just adding the word recycling to help with the confusion. No, you're creating confusion because you're talking BS to the public. You're saying things that are factually really wrong, really opposite from the truth. So we can add strict guidelines for existing and future processes. No, you can't really regulate these. There's not much we can do to regulate these facilities once they are cited. That's the DEC's job. The only thing we can do is prohibit them. The prohibition exists now. You're throwing away the prohibition. That's what you're doing. So this is very disingenuous. It seems deceiving. And I think, it makes you liable in some way. You can't just lie to the public. You can't say something factually wrong to the public in order to sneak in some toxic facility. This could be a criminal offense. I'm just saying. A mayor cannot make outrageously false statements to the public and get away with it. Since only the DEC can approve or disapprove of this company. Since only the DEC can approve or disapprove of this company. No. Zoning prohibits it right now. We can prohibit it by just leaving the zoning alone. And then this was the only legal thing the village was allowed to do. No, another legal thing the village is allowed to do is leave the zoning in place. That protects people from toxic emissions from incinerators or smelters. I'm sorry that people do not know the truth. Well, me too. Many have been listening to misinformation. Was that something on Romper Room? Misinformation? And now a message from misinformation. She's going to come in from the first grade class. She's misinformation as a first grade teacher, and she's going to come and give us a lesson today. The misinformation is coming from the village. It's not coming from us. Okay? All right, I gotta try to keep moving through this, friends. We got a lot to go through, okay? So, the zoning change describes a vague and benign definition of a recycling facility, apparently, in my opinion, to mislead the public and to get it past the planning board. Because everybody likes recycling. I like recycling. I'm all for recycling. I'm not for incinerators in a downtown business district, next to homes. I'm not for that. Calling this, and this is another issue. Even if they pass this zoning problem, it doesn't preclude us from suing the village, and that's what we're going to do. You're going to expose. If you do this, the three ladies, I'm talking to you. If you do this, you are exposing the village to a likely lawsuit because this is really irregular and not proper and not good the way it's being done. So by calling this, you're attempting to say that this makes this facility legal because we now have zoning to allow recycling facilities that are already apparently allowed because they already exist in the village. It doesn't capture the essence of this high temperature process, and it's hot. It's 600 degrees to 900 degrees C. That's hot enough to melt metal. This is like a steel forge type temperature. This is super hot, and it involves there's pyrolysis, which apparently it's burning in the absence of air, and then there's combustion. I hope I got this right. I've been listening to Paul Connett. Combustion is burning in the presence of air. So there's really, and I know when you're talking about pottery, there's different names for it. There's a reduction furnace. I think reduction is burning in the absence of air. There's different names for these processes, but basically you get the idea. And here's the other thing. The planning board did not recommend this facility. The planning board basically said, we don't have enough information to make a decision one way or the other. And, we're not happy with the way that a recycling facility has been defined. They thought the definition was deficient, and it is. They're exactly right. So hats off to the Endicott Planning Board. It's much appreciated. Thank you for that. This is stating the obvious. This shouldn't be being done during a pandemic. Come on. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it seems very sneaky that the governor is doing this, and the Empire State Development Corporation, and a whole bunch of high-profile people, politicos like Donna Lupardo, Jason Garner, the DEC, lots and local chamber people. They're all getting on board with this thing. Okay, it's very sneaky that they seem to be exploiting the pandemic because people can't meaningfully participate via Zoom. It's got security issues, and it's just not compliant with open meetings law. I'm on page 5 out of 76, so there's no way I'm going to get through this, and I'm probably going to stay on for maybe another 10 minutes because I got another thing. I'm going to be jumping on this planning call. Maybe I'll try to take you up to the edge of this as close as we can because there's a lot of material to go through. Okay? One of the things is that there's no emergency response plan anywhere. Where's the emergency response plan? It ain't there. There's no remedy while the courts are closed. What? How do we file an Article 78 against the DEC or the Village of Endicott when the courts are closed? Sneaky. It's sneaky. It's super sneaky. The zoning change exposes the village to a lawsuit. I already said that. This goes against the planning board, the 239M review, which we're going to talk about more in a second. The 239M review. I think we already mentioned it. It basically, the good thing about the 239M review is the fact that it said you better include categories for incinerators and smelters, and it might help. And I agree with that, even though the 239 review consulted with exactly 0 coordinating agencies. Like red flag on the field. Also, there must be a baseline ambient air test. Okay, my friend Mark Bacon has been talking about a baseline ambient air, an ambient air test. In his case, just take an ambient air test for about 10 years. But if they're going to say that this facility isn't going to cause any air impacts, we need to have a baseline ambient air test. We need to have continuous real-time air monitors throughout the community to measure the effect of this thing. No talk of that. No talk of that. Because Endicott, you get nothing. Remember that from Willy Wonka? Yeah. Also there must be, this isn't just my belief or my preference, there must be a full Type 1 environmental impact statement. That's true because if you look at the definition of a Type 1 seeker action, if you look up the law, and it's an attachment to this, the actual law, you can read it for yourself if you just download this. And I'm going to make it available. I'll put the link in the show notes. Just remind me in a comment if the link doesn't show up because I have a lot going on today. But there must be a full Type 1 environmental impact statement because of the zoning change. It cannot be an unlisted action. It has to be a Type 1 action. And there must be also a DEC public hearing. Once again, this is also, with a stenographer, a real public hearing held at the high school, some large venue, when the community can meaningfully participate. That means after the pandemic is over, after the lockdown is over. We don't need to be rushing this thing through. There's no reason to rush this thing through. Okay, so here's the thing. What this illustrates is that the height of the stack, this map here is flipped. It's really, it should be kind of like reversed, but this is just the way Google Maps presents it. But basically, this spot right here is really right there. Is really right here. That is building 257 on Clark or Franklin Street, whatever it is. And then this spot up here is the hills, up in the hills to the east. Sorry, to the west. I'm dyslexic. And the hills to the west are between 250 feet and 450 feet. So the point of this graphic here is to show you that the tower at 111 feet is a lot lower than the height of the surrounding hills. Well, that's a big problem because the chemicals in the smoke, the emissions from the stack, are going to persist in the valleys. That's a big problem. Now look at this, okay? This is the, let me see if I can blow this up to some degree so you can see it a little bit better. This is the Sungeo plant in South Korea. And they have two very large stacks right here, 1 and 2. And they have two shorter stacks way over here. So, by my estimates, these shorter stacks are maybe 180 feet, and these tall stacks are probably around 500 feet. Our stacks, and by the way, this is not in a residential neighborhood. This is in a heavy industrial district where there are no regulations. It's called an unregulated district, or an unregulated industrial zone. So there's no homes nearby, and the stacks are almost probably over four times taller. Yeah, okay. I don't see a problem with 100-foot stacks. Actually, I do. I shouldn't be sarcastic. Okay, this is another recycling facility in Belgium that's similar, and once again, they have a massive 500-foot stack, and here is the height of there it is. This is the height right there of building 259. Sorry, building 259. That's 500-foot stack over here. So, and the reason why you make the stack taller is because the stuff that comes out gets distributed over a much larger area. The smoke that comes out, that doesn't really work. You see what I'm saying? The smoke that comes out gets distributed over a much wider area. That's why you make a tall stack, is that it helps mitigate some of the problems with emitting those nasties. Now look at this. Why not Gowdy Station? Gowdy Station has a 265-foot stack. So wouldn't Gowdy Station make a better place for an incinerator? It's presently idle. I don't think they're generating power there right now. Okay, so this first diagram is, I put this together. This is Google Earth. This is everything that's at 111 feet and below. So this is where the facility is in downtown Endicott. Where can I draw it? This is where the facility is in downtown Endicott. And so the wind patterns usually go, let's see if I can zoom in on that. The wind patterns usually go to from the southwest or from the northwest. So this neighborhood is in North Endicott. This particular neighborhood right here is highly vulnerable. Basically, this whole downtown area is highly vulnerable. By the way, I'm not doxing them. You can easily find this information online. It's public information. There's where Fred Akshar lives. Look at that. He's above the hill line. He's above the 111 feet line. So he's going to be breathing okay, and so is Donna Lupardo. Except for really, even though it's above the line, depending on wind patterns, they might still be vulnerable. Isn't that kind of funny? That if the wind pattern blows just right, Fred Akshar and Donald Lupardo are going to be getting it. So maybe that's some karma. I don't know. Maybe that'll help them somehow change their minds and maybe try to put the kibosh on this thing somehow. Okay? And now this is my interpretation of the high risk zone. So the sharp red areas are the red areas that are below 111 feet, and then this wispy stuff up here is just because, the wind patterns might carry it up here, might spill over, a little bit of spillover. But by the way, I think this is Town Square Mall, I think that's Town Square Mall. So you're in pretty much the hot zone, and it's going to taper off at the farther you get. Oops. The farther you get to Binghamton, toward Johnson City and Westover, it's going to probably taper off. Who knows? Depending on the wind patterns, it's going to be hard to predict. We're just going to find out if they build the thing. I'm trying to get it stopped. Okay, here's some exhibits. Here's the Town of Fenton 239 review, 31 pages, six coordinating agencies. I'm just going to skip through this for it really quick. This is the Town of Fenton coordinated review, 6 different agencies, 30 plus pages, site plans, different comments. And by the way, the 239 review came back disfavorable in the case of the Fenton Bomb Trucks Terminal, and that's one of the big reasons why it failed. Okay, and then here's the Sunjeel. Coordinating review. My battery dying? My battery must be dying. There we go. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to change. My light is getting dim. Okay, I got to wrap it up, friends. Stand by just one second. I got to really make a change here. Okay, I really got to wrap it up pretty soon. So I'm going to give it another 5 minutes, and then we're going to get on the call. So this is the 239 review that just came back. Frank Evangelisti. Somebody call Frank up maybe and ask him why we got a 2-page one and the Fenton one was 37 pages or whatever it was. Okay. This is fabulous. This just came out. This was we just obtained a copy of this thing. And it's the village attorney writing to the DEC and talking about all the problems with this thing. I'm writing it. Let's just try to scan through this really quick. Let me get a drink because I'm getting a little... Dear Mr. DeLugolensky, this firm represents the village of Endicott. What's the firm? It's Coughlin and Gerhardt. Severe, as you know, we've got expressed our concerns. Endicott already has severe ground contamination due to previous use of the site by IBM. Village residents are concerned about the apparent lack of information, DEC's failure to conduct a thorough review of the potential environment, health, and safety consequences of the project. This is such an excellent letter. This is amazingly good. Potential for health, safety, and safety consequences. The lack of transparency with respect to the DEC's potential impacts, the missing and inconsistent information submitted, in the EA form, defects in the secret review, potentially severe environmental and safety impacts from the project, complete lack of consideration for village zoning laws. Wow, this is amazing. For those reasons, the DEC should stay any approval of the application and rescind its previous secret determination pending a more thorough and comprehensive review. This is our village attorney that's saying this. And now we have 3 board members that are basically going against. They're all going, yeah, this is fine. No, throw away the recommendation from our attorney that writing to the DEC saying, you got to throw this thing out. This thing is a piece of junk. Throw it out. And they didn't throw it out. And now the cleanup crew, the 3 ladies, they're going, oh, don't worry. It's all good. We can't say no. Yes, they can. This change isn't for, it's just like these aren't the droids you were looking for. It's like, okay. It's like if they feel they say something absurd that they can just make it be so if they say it with confidence or something. So anyway, there's lots of stuff here, friends. This is the village attorney. This is hot off the press stuff here. Joe Sluzar, remember Joe Sluzar? He is working at the DEC now. There is, okay, this is the secret negative deck, okay? And there's several false statements in this. I've been through this lots of times if you've been watching my shows. This will not have a significant adverse environmental impact, and a draft impact statement will not be prepared. Well, guess what? It's supposed to be prepared, and that statement will not have a significant adverse effect is not justifiable with the data and the science. So the main one here is the zoning. Okay, the proposed action is consistent with local planning and zoning requirements. No, it isn't. No impact or impairment to the aesthetic resources. What about the way the air smells? Isn't that an aesthetic resource? No identified creation of hazard to human health? Really? Formaldehyde, dioxin, hexavalent chromium, nanoparticles, submicron sometimes, nanoparticles, neurotoxic, heavy metals, unspecified hydrocarbons. God knows, it's a chemical soup coming out of that thing. And 3 known carcinogens. So what's the justification for that statement? I don't know what it is. Here's the EPA Region 2 guy that says, this leads us to believe that the SMCC rotary kiln meets the definition of a commercial and industrial solid waste incineration, or SISWI unit. That's Robert Buettner, chief. When the mayor says it is not an incinerator, the EPA Region 2 Air Compliance Branch chief, Robert Buettner, disagrees with the mayor. Okay? Here's the proof. It's all right here. There it is. This leads us to believe the SMCC rotary kiln meets the definition of a SISWI unit. Robert Buettner. There it is. Get the docket. Look at it yourself. Endicott Village Code definitions. We're running right up against the clock here. Manufacturing. Shall not include the handling of any waste products. It ain't manufacturing, Donald Lupardo. Everybody that's saying it's manufacturing. By the way, here's the list of permittable land uses in an industrial zone in Binghamton. I'm sorry, in Endicott. And I don't see incinerator anywhere on here. I don't see high temperature rotary kiln. I don't see smelting. And guess what? If it doesn't have a P or an SP over here, what does that mean? How many people have eyes? Prohibited. See that word prohibited? Also, let me just show you what it says here. I want to back it up. Uses not listed and those identified with a dash are expressly prohibited. So incinerators are expressly prohibited. by local zoning law. Okay, you got that? And they're changing the zoning not to say that incinerators are permissible. They're saying recycling facilities. That sounds so benign, so nice. Recycling facilities. It's like saying, I don't know, calling a thief a gentleman. This gentleman over here is going to come in and steal everything you got. Let's not call him a gentleman then. Let's call him what he is. Notice of a completed application. I'm going to try to cruise through this. I'm out of time. This project is an unlisted action. Cannot be. Has to be type 1. Will not have a significant impact on the environment. That's subjective and not scientifically justifiable. A negative declaration is on file that had substantial errors to it and fraudulent statements. And that a coordinated review was performed. No, it wasn't. Wasn't performed on 10/2/2019. It wasn't performed. It was only performed on last Friday, which is April 17th. Sorry, bogus. This is all bogus. It's comical. Thomas Elcher with the DEC said he thought it was a SISWI, a solid waste incineration unit. EPA agreed with him. You can read all this stuff. Get the packet. This is the last one, I think. I hope this is the last one. This is the New York State Consolidated Law, Penal Law, Section 175.40, issuing a false certificate. Let's read that, shall we? A person is guilty of issuing a false certificate when, being a public servant authorized to make or issue official certificates or other written instruments, and with the intent to defraud or deceive or injure another person, he issues such an instrument knowing that it contains a false statement or false information. Guess what? They knew. I put them on notice. I told them about these defects, so they knew. Issuing a false certificate is a Class E felony. Just saying. It's like a year to 2 in jail. Joseph DeLugolinski, Reggie Parker, Scott E. Seeley, he signed the permit, and Basil Sagos, he's head of the DEC. All of those, Class E felony. All of those were responsible for issuing this thing. I'm out of time, friends. I'm out of time. There's more stuff in here. I'm going to put the link in the show notes once it gets uploaded. I have a lot going on today. I hope I can get it all done. So let me just say really quick here. Boy, it's so fuzzy. I'm so fuzzed out here. I'm sorry for the fuzz. What am I going to give you? I'm going to give you... So there is a nightly call. It's normally 6 p.m. nightly. Write this down because we're jumping on this right now. It's happening right now, okay? Jump on this call. 712-770-4726. 712-770-4726. Access code 954763. 954763. Stop the video and go back and replay it if you got to hear this again. And then there's going to be the Zoom thing tonight at 7 p.m. But I still haven't seen an actual clickable link anywhere, published anywhere. So hopefully we'll get to the bottom line of that. The bottom line of the link. There has only been a phone number published. Okay, friends. This is hot Endicott happenings. This is it. We're bringing you the latest on the Bill Huston podcast. I work in the public interest, and I really survive on donations and grants. And I'm not kidding. I really, I rely on your help. There's a listing of some of my public service work over the last 10 years. My donate link is tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Huston. Tiny URL. That's Uniform Romeo Lima tinyurl.com/donate2BillHuston. That's PayPal. If you don't do PayPal, you might want to use my USPS, my snail mail. P.O. Box 22, William Huston. That's my legal name, William Huston. P.O. Box 22, Endicott, New York, 13761. Okay, friends. The other thing I want you to do is, besides liking this video, give it a thumbs up. But also, I really want to ask you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really helps out if you subscribe. And also, if you click all notifications, click the bell and say all notifications, you'll get a message on your cell phone or an email whenever I go live. There's my email address if you want to write me an email. There's my snail mail if you want to write me some fan mail or send me a check or money order. Donations are appreciated in any amount. Thanks a lot, friends. We'll talk to you later.